I think people are a lot better at this than they actually are. Hey, Matt, what I really need you to do is go make this successful sales call or something.
Oh,
So
you think so? People think they're better at this than they actually are. That's what you were saying.
absolutely,
Yeah. So we have
absolutely.
this overconfidence bias that we think that we're doing it just right.
And especially if we have certain personality characteristics. So if we're
Mm,
somebody who's very introverted, we have these conversations with ourselves.
mm,
And then when they come out, um, you miss a lot of the why. And the why is really important.
mm,
Like, I'm asking you to do this, I'm setting this expectation because. And so being, clear about what it is you're looking for, or how it is you want people to get there, and again, why it matters, is a really important part of expectation setting.
mm.
Giving things like, again, explicit timeframes. Um, again, how you want it to be done, and we make assumptions around this, and then we ask people, so you got it? And people don't know if they got it sometimes.
Right.
And so, the number one reason that people don't meet their goals is because they don't know what they were in the first place.
Mm,
And so really taking the time and asking people, um, what is it that you hear me saying? What is it you hear me asking? Um, Tell me how you might go about this right now. Again, having that dialogue really matters. Right?
so which
There's a great scene. This is probably going to go out of Seinfeld. If you remember Seinfeld, there's this great
yeah.
episode of George Costanza when he's working for the New York Yankees, and the boss says, "Okay, so they're in the bathroom. I probably don't remember this scene. But they're in the bathroom, and Steinbrenner or whatever says, 'All right, George, you got it?' And yes, sir, I got it." And then he spends the rest of the show trying to figure out actually what he
Right.
got asked to do.
Right.
You know, and but we can laugh about it, but that actually is what happens for a lot of people.
Right. And it's probably not until they start trying to execute that they realize, oh, wait, I don't know this part. I don't know this part.
And that's another reason, by the way, why it's important to set those check-in points.
Yeah.
And if you're a manager, you want to tend to check in earlier in the process to make sure that people are on the right track. I call it like going to grandma's house. You got to make sure you get on the right highway, head in the right direction. And then once you're going that way, and you can put probably the check-in marks further apart. Of course, it depends on major timeframes, and then at the end, you want to check in a little more regularly to just make sure you land it just right.
Right. Got it. So could you give an example of, let's just talk, let's pick a specific job here, like let's say, um, somebody's in marketing and you want to give them really clear expectations on, but hey, let's use an example that I think is probably important to both of us. So, we want to grow a podcast, right? So,
Hmm.
so what would be an example, like, if I'm your direct report, and I'm in charge of marketing the podcast to grow it. Can you give me an example of
Yeah.
how you're going to set really clear expectations?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I'm going to have a conversation with you. You got to do this before you even go to expectations. It's, hey, what does it mean to grow?
Right.
What
So
does that look
you're gonna
like?
ask me my view of
Yeah.
what that means.
Hey, listen, Matt, I think we're on the same page. I think, what I'm looking for is growth. And I'm looking for growth, and I'm looking for some metric of maybe success or something. So
Right.
let's talk about what those metrics are.
Right.
For sake of this conversation, we'll take something really easy, that we're going to increase, viewership by, you know, 25% over the next 6 months or something like that.
Okay.
So then
Perfect.
we're going to, right. So we're going to say, okay, so that makes sense as we look, it could be challenging, right? Matt, I think you'd agree it's challenging. It's
Right.
doable. It's something that's going to make a difference.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about what's the strategy for getting there. I would never leave somebody just out in the weeds. Okay, Matt, listen, go get 25%. Like, that's, at least for
Right.
me, not my style, right? Because
Right.
what's my style? My responsibility is to help set you up for success.
Right.
If you're more senior, I'm going to say, Matt, take that, come back to me with a proposal. How are we going to get there, right? Let's come up with the plan, how we're going to execute it. And by the way, what do you need from me in order to be successful?
Right. Right.
With somebody else, and it's really important to know what the game is, right? If we're winning or losing. In sports, it's easy. I don't know if we won 25-23 or something. It's not always as clear in business. We want to make it clear. People want to know what the game is and what it means for them to win.
Right.
And so again, setting the expectation. So we're talking 25%. What are we thinking? We thinking 10% the first quarter and then 15%, or how are we going to break that up? How are we going to know that we're on track? And so that's that. So getting those metrics down, getting buy-in around those, and coming up with a set of expectations around how we're actually going to get there is what makes the difference.